Amicus analysis. Amicus analysis. Amicus analysis. Amicus analysis.
Hello everybody and welcome to another rip-roaring edition of Hammerhead/Amicus Analysis. I am one of your hosts, Miles Watts, and the other one is right here, Marcus Wilson. Hello.
He's Rip, I'm roaring.
Together we're rip-roaring. We're going to cover number 10 in our Amicus list today, which is 1972's Tales from the Crypt, which I had to look this up a couple of weeks ago to familiarize myself with, because I'd heard so much about Tales from the Crypt, the film, and I wanted to check that it was linked to EC Comics Tales from the Crypt from the 50s, which it is. And I was very glad. Well, some of them are from Tales of the Crypt, aren't they?
Yeah, not all of them. It's all EC Comics, but obviously Milton Subotsky, the producer and one of the Amicus head honchos, was an avid reader of the EC Comics. But yeah, I think there's a couple from Tales from the Crypt, and then other segments from other EC Comics.
Yeah, like Vault of Horror or The Haunt of, that kind of thing. But I love those old comics. I remember them partly, but I sort of reverse engineered it, because in the 80s I saw Creepshow, which I think was a huge influence on Creepshow. And Creepshow was very much inspired by the artwork of EC Comics. And I wanted to check to see if one of my favorite conceptual artists and comic book artist, Bernie Wrightson, had been involved in something to do with this, but he was operating in the 70s really, but he did the comic book version of Creepshow based on the film, so it all comes sort of back round to Bernie Wrightson. But some of that comic art from the 50s Tales of the Crypt is just so great. It's so creepy and genuinely rotten and scary, and they got into a lot of trouble because it used to, they thought, is this going to scare kids? Because I think EC Comics started out as educational comics, and then it turned into
really
okay. They did like 5 or 6 years of horror comics, and then it turned into Mad Magazine, which was obviously a huge hit. So
and this predates the film by about 20 years, some of these stories, and you see the film and it's so familiar from so many other films and series and things like that, and you wonder whether is it this film, or does it hark back to the original comics?
And I think some of it does, but I think this film is hugely influential. I think you watch this and you can see League of Gentlemen, particularly the Christmas special with the evil Santa Claus. Hello, Dave. You can see Creepshow, you can see things like Black Mirror,
and it's been referenced. I think there's been segments of this film referenced in Simpsons, and whether again it's the comic or whether it's this film.
Yeah, and I mean, even in one episode, they heavily write into it that they are doing the monkey's paw. Yeah. It's like, this is like the monkey's paw when this happened and this happened and this happened, and they make all the same mistakes that the monkey's paw made. So they don't learn anything. It's another anthology story, which is 5 separate stories of horrible people, all of whom deserve everything they get.
And this is the last portmanteau film directed by Freddie Francis in the series, starring a segment with Peter Cushing, who I've read in various places was offered the part of either the Crypt Keeper or Ralph in I think it's the third segment, and he decided not to take either of those roles, but we'll come to that in a bit.
Yeah, he wanted to play the character he played, didn't he? And it's a real iconic character as well. People reference it, and there's loads of pictures of it. I'd like to dress up as that character for Halloween one year and scare the hell out of everybody. But
we'll come back to this as well. But I thought that in this particular film, the portmanteau segments were really strong, probably the strongest that we've seen so far. But the wraparound for me is the weakest I think we've seen so far. But
and I feel like we've seen it before. That's the problem. Like I'm so glad it had Ralph Richardson in it, but that just made me want to go off and watch Time Bandits again. So because he plays a supreme being in Time Bandits. Yes, it was a bit sort of phoned in, wasn't it? It was like fine. It was in a crypt, and there were graves everywhere, and it was this stone room, and they were all. But it just felt very much like we've seen this before in other Amicus films, done better and more interestingly. With
Yes,
Burgess Meredith, for
I think
example.
so. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into it then. We've got these five characters who find themselves in a crypt for some inexplicable reason. They've broken their journey on the way home to stop off at
Mm.
some kind of tourist attraction.
Yes, and one character even says, what am I doing here? I was on my way to work. And you gradually find out, yeah. And so, yeah, there's five guests, and you obviously, you're going to go through each guest's reason for being there and what they've done. And Ralph Richardson is the crypt keeper, really, isn't he? And he's not the crypt keeper we come to know from the comics or the 80s movie TV series, because that's a sort of wizened old corpse. This is just Ralph Richardson dressed like a monk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you sort of know it's going to be a morality tale for each one of them because again we've seen it before by this point. Even in Amicus, we know that it's like a tried and tested formula of the five guests who've been invited there to discover their own foibles and
But the
punishment.
portmanteaus are all morality tales, aren't
Yeah,
they? I mean,
yeah, yeah, and so yeah, and there's some really great character actors and stars in this one. The first one, obviously, being Joan Collins, who's phenomenal, and she looks awesome in this. Actually, she
yeah.
looks really fantastic, like peak Joan Collins, doesn't she?
So this is the first segment, which is "And All Through the House."
Yes, which is the one that reminded me of League of Gentlemen Christmas because there's a mad Santa Claus on the loose, going from house to house and killing people.
Yeah,
Um,
there's kind of echoes of almost Night of the Living Dead being kind of trapped in the
mm,
house with kind of this weird presence going on outside and all barricaded in, and also
mm,
kind of maybe even preempting the slasher genre that you've got
yeah,
this radio station reporting a mad killer on the loose.
yeah, and yeah, she's there with her husband and her daughter. And the husband's reading the newspaper very innocently, and then suddenly, amid all this report of this guy on the loose, the guy reading the paper, her husband gets stabbed, and obviously doesn't bleed blood, he bleeds kids' poster paint.
Yeah.
Very, very pink blood, but they obviously couldn't make it very red in those days because of the censors. So, um, he dies, and then she suddenly remembers the kid upstairs, and there's that great moment when the kid goes from upstairs, "Night, mummy, night, daddy," and it just cuts to the guy from the stairs just lying dead on the lounge floor, like, "Yeah, your daddy's dead." Um, and I really liked all of these segments are really nicely shot
Hmm.
and in really nice houses and sets. I really
Yeah.
liked I actually kind of wanted to live in some of these houses and sets. They look great. And then Joan Collins obviously has to deal with the fact that she's got a dead body in the lounge, and also it's a kind of mad story, isn't it? She's killed her husband, and there's Santa on the loose as well.
It
It's
is
kind of
insane for
unusual.
quite a short segment that you've got
Yeah,
what's going on.
you've got those two elements going on. Yeah, there's a mad killer on the loose, and she's a mad killer.
And the irony that she's now having to she can't call the police because
Yeah,
she hasn't yet hid her husband's body. She's going to make it look like he's tripped over and fallen into the cellar.
yeah,
I think a few times I've read in various reviews of this film, well, why didn't she just push him down the cellar stairs rather than
yeah.
kill him in on the
He was
lounge
doing the crossword.
seat?
Yeah, I know it's like it's always the way, isn't it? You want to call the police to report a mad psycho killer, but
Yeah.
you've just killed your husband.
And
Oh,
and
Joan.
there's some incredible stunt work when I don't know if you
Yeah.
spotted when he falls down the stairs, presumably the
Mm,
stuntman. That looked really painful. I
yeah.
mean, it like
Yeah, it
lands on
does.
his head on a few steps.
Yeah, I thought this entire film there isn't a weak segment in it. Every there's some hammy stuff, but it's Amicus, but there's some really good horror makeup. There's some good stunts. There's some good action sequences. There's some really cracking editing, and it all looks great.
And we're quite
Um,
divergent from the Hammer horror studio now because we're away
Mm.
from all that gothic stuff and we're kind of in the modern day again.
Yeah, it's bang up to date, wasn't it? I think it's set in 1972 and it's released in 1972, so which is, 54 years ago now. But at the time,
Yeah.
it probably felt very fresh and new. And so, yeah, she carries on with her husband, getting rid of him. And then, of course, right, okay, that's everything sorted. And then the daughter goes, "Hey, I invited Santa in." And then and it's this horrible, grotesque, sort of lumbering Santa, which is really there's something really sinister about an evil Santa
A
Claus.
bit Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes, he did remind me of Billy Bob Thornton in Bad Santa, actually, except less sexy. And yeah, and then she, that. So it is a quite quick, silly story, isn't it? Because before almost as if as soon as we got into it, we're out of it again. And she's like, "Oh well, that's that's not what's going to happen. I'm not gonna do that." And it's like, well, it continues, but she's not in it that much, Joan Collins, but she definitely makes an impression as
It
usual.
does. I mean, it's just a quite a incredible first sequence to set up
Yeah,
the rest of the film.
it is. Yeah, it gets things going, especially because I think by the fourth or fifth one, and this is what people criticize about anthology movies or portmanteau movies, is by the fourth or fifth one, you're like, okay, yeah, let's do the last one now. And
Yeah.
it's sort of, even with the last one, episode 5, the guy goes up to the crypt keeper and it's like, well, what happens to me then? Come on, get on with it. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, come on, let's go through this again, shall we? Um, but the first few, yeah, it's got that nice quick kick one, and then it's the second one. What is the second one?
Reflection
Um,
of Death. So this
oh
is
yes,
a
yes,
rotter, a bad apple
yes,
called
yeah,
Carl, who
yes.
is about to abandon his wife and children and go off with the secretary.
What a bastard! And this is Ian Hendry, isn't it, from Repulsion and Get
Um,
Carter?
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Um, I was like, I know, I had to look him up. It was terrible. I was like, I know this guy, I know this guy, and he plays. Yeah, he's Catherine Deneuve's sister's boyfriend in Repulsion, whose flat it
Okay.
is, and he's in Get Carter as well. He plays a bad guy. Well, mind you, they're all bad guys in Get Carter, aren't they?
What a
And
great number of films to be in. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. There's some good pedigrees in this actually with all the cast, and yes, so he has a very attractive mistress who he's going on a little excursion with, and he leaves his wife and kids. So you think, oh, you bastard. Um, they're driving along. They have a horrendous car accident, which was very well shot. I think they did a mix of sort of model shots,
Yeah.
stunt work, tilting the camera
Around,
around,
yeah.
and or they did it in the post where they made the image go round and round and round. But I thought it was very well done. It was, again, it was hammy, but you got the sense that this was a horrendous car accident.
Yeah.
Um, and they're lying there, and then you sort of think, okay, well, he's survived, but he staggers through the night.
It's all kind of, it goes first person, doesn't it? It's all seen
Yeah,
from his perspective. So the
yeah, that was
shooting of
good.
that segment is very interesting because
Mm,
he's all dazed and confused and wandering through the night
yeah.
and goes to his wife's house. And
Mm.
bizarrely, she seems to have remarried and she has somebody else in the house with her now.
Yeah.
So
Is
he
she called
gets,
Wilson now?
oh, yeah, it could be. Yeah, yeah.
I think she's called Wilson. I thought
And so
Marcus.
he rings on the doorbell, and you see his wife be totally out, he's just screaming at him, and
Yeah,
in terror. So
yeah,
he sort of stumbles off and goes
yeah.
to find the secretary Susan, who's now
Yes, and everyone's
blinded from the
reaction to him is
crash.
brilliant. Yeah, Susan is blind and has a stick, and he's like, "Why has everything changed? Why is what's gone on? Why is all the furniture different?" And she says, "You've been away 2 years," and it's actually a really good shock scare when you see his reflection.
Yeah,
And it is called Reflection of Death. So you literally see his reflection in the table, and it's quite a quick sort of thriller-esque zombie makeup.
I missed it the first time because I was literally
Oh,
looking away from the screen for 2 seconds, and that's when it happened, and I had to go rewind it and watch it because it was
uh,
blink and you miss it.
it was Blink and You Miss It. Um, but I thought that was really well done. It was like a quick, again, it was quick, it was simple. He has a quick car accident, realizes he's dead. Everyone's reactions were great, like the woman, his
Yeah,
wife, and everyone. They have this quiet, slow. "Ah!" So you're like, oh my god, it must be terrible. And they did a good job of hiding his face right till the end. But then, of course, he wakes, comes to, and he's in the crypt, and he's like, oh right, okay, so. Again, you're like, is this a morality tale? Is this something that's going to
yeah.
happen to me? And
And it's
um,
really clever shooting, and obviously Freddie Francis, again, being
mm,
a cinematographer, this is his real strength in directing movies.
yeah,
Freddie Francis.
yeah, he very much wrangles the look and the vibe and the story, doesn't he? At this point as well, if this is his last one for Amicus, it was a real high to go out on.
Yeah,
He's very confident by this point. It just looks, it's a real top movie. I think this is the reason why it's a lot of people's favorite one, Tales from the Crypt, and I think it's why it's endured.
yeah.
Um, and it's generally well, really well regarded. So yeah, then this brings us to the third one,
A
where
centerpiece. Yeah,
yes, which is Poetic Justice is the title.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, and Peter Cushing plays the iconic character, who's a bit of an old. Well, he's not a creepy old man. He's a lovely old man
He is Arthur
called Arthur
Grimsdyke.
Grimsdyke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he entertains kids. He finds toys and sort of cleans them up and gifts them to kids. And he's got a bunch of dogs that he's collected that are strays. And but he has this neighbor who's got this big mansion opposite him, who's an absolute bloody bastard of a character. He just has this campaign of hatred against Arthur Grimsdyke, where he's just trying to because he thinks his house is it's like Hot Fuzz, isn't it? Why did you blow up his house? It was an awful house. Awful. He thinks his house is dirty and an eyesore and the dogs are just barking and all that. So he gradually sort of gets Grimsdyke to become unpopular in the neighborhood, and he trashes the neighbor's flower bed so that everyone thinks Grimsdyke did it. Grimsdyke's dogs did it, which is horrible. So they took his dogs away. So I was like, oh, they're so mean. They're so mean to Grimsdyke. I feel really sorry for him.
And then they make the neighbors think that he's molesting the children who are going around to his place, and
I knew they were going to go there because it's a
yeah.
typical sort of like knee-jerk thing, isn't it? Oh, he's an old man and he's entertaining kids. He must be a paedophile. And it's like, no, he's Peter Cushing. He's a pedophile. Um, yeah, but you feel really sorry for Grimsdyke because he's done nothing wrong, and then he's on Valentine's Day he sends him a slew of horrible Valentine's cards
Yeah.
um,
It's
with
just a bit
horrible
much,
poems in.
isn't it?
It is a bit much. I mean, it's just he's such a git. I tell you what, though, that the scenes on the street, I could live in that street. It was lovely. I love how few cars there were in the 70s and how clean everything looks
There's a bit
and
of
uncluttered.
good Peter Cushing makeup going on as well when he's
That's amazing. Yeah.
the anniversary of his well, I guess Valentine's Day when he comes out and there's
Yeah.
a bit of a massacre.
Yeah, I mean that was really well done as well because it was quite thriller-ish. I think it was probably an influence on
The thriller video, yeah.
makeup in Thriller. Yeah, because he comes out the grave in that very slow, creepy way. That was brilliantly shot. And the noir lighting
Yeah.
where they keep Peter Cushing in the shadows as ghost as dead Grimsdyke, which is very clever. So he
Yeah.
sort of comes out of the shadow of the corner of the study, which is really creepy. Puts his hand on the desk, and this poor bastard. Well, he's not a poor bastard. He's tortured Grimsdyke, and then his friend finds him just in the slumped over the desk with a poem that's punctuated by his own heart on the bottom of the page, which is amazing. This reminded me a lot of Creepshow. Actually, it's sort of a bit like the Father's Day episode where they dig up the father, and also the episode with Ted Danson where they come back from the grave
Oh, yes.
after being drowned. Yeah. I think it was a big influence. But yeah, amazing makeup effects. And Peter Cushing's great in it. It's great to see him as the lovely old man again, but with a twist.
Yes, it's a bit sad as well because this was the year
Mm.
that Peter Cushing's wife died. So
Oh,
actually,
it was that year, was it?
he's
Right.
playing a
Oh,
man who is, contacting his dead wife in this film.
yeah.
So this must have been, yeah, quite raw for him at the time as well.
Yeah, a bit close to the
Whether
bone.
that's why he chose this particular part, I don't know.
It might be. It might be. He probably wanted to lean into it a bit. You know what I mean? I can imagine him just saying, "Well,
Yeah,
this is this is a movie, so I'll put the reality into my performance, kind of thing." But poor old Peter Cushing,
oh,
eh?
Peter Cushing.
Um, but yeah, what a iconic character. A few makeup friends of mine when we were doing horror films said they wanted to do me up as Arthur Grimsdyke's zombie
Excellent.
because I've got the same cheekbones as Peter
You
Cushing.
do.
So
Yes.
they said, "Oh, it's great, sort of these cheeks that go in under your cheekbones. You'd make a really good Grimsdyke." I'm like, all right, maybe one year.
Excellente.
Yeah. So yeah, that was actually that was probably my favorite just for Cushing's performance. But I think these are all really
They're
quality episodes. I
strong.
think they get better as they go on. The fourth one is the monkey's paw one, which again is it's well done considering they're literally just and name checking the monkey's paw all the way through,
Yeah.
and then this happened, and then this happened, and this happened.
It's called Wish You Were
um,
Here, and actually, it's a very
yeah,
brief segment, in fact, and it is
yeah,
the three wishes of the monkey's paw. But in this case, it's not
mm,
a monkey's paw; it's a piece of Chinese pottery or something like that that
yeah,
grants three wishes. And the it's a businessman called Ralph Jason and his wife Enid, and they're having
mm,
financial woes, and so
yeah,
there is the wishing. The wife decides to wish on this Chinese figurine uh,
yeah,
a fortune, and then
mm.
immediately the phone rings, and Ralph is told to go off and meet his lawyer, and where he's gonna get some money. And yeah, there's a very frightening looking biker behind him in the
mm,
car that
yeah,
looks
with a
like
death
death
mask on.
personified.
So he goes off to meet his lawyer, but in fact meets his maker. That was good. That it's a very nice bit of classic dramatic irony, isn't it? Where you're like, oh, you've got to come into the office and talk to me something about money, and it's like, yeah, the money that will be from your death
Yes,
on this car journey.
yes.
um, and she immediately, she checks with his lawyer, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And it's the monkey's paw again, isn't it? And he goes, "Well, don't make another wish that
Oh,
he
dude,
comes
for
back
God's
because
sake, don't make another wish.
yeah, because he'll come back, in the state that and she's like, oh well, I want him to come back in the state he was just before the accident.
Just a few seconds before.
Yeah, and when he had a heart attack at the wheel,
Yeah.
and little does she know, Annie comes back in agony, and she's also
Well, he comes
like,
back dead first of all in
oh,
the
that's right, of course, and all those undertakers bring him in.
yeah.
Oh my God, the coffin bearers come in from like the dead with this coffin. Oh my God, that was good. That is so camp.
It's very camp. And then she makes an
Yeah,
even bigger mistake on her third
yeah.
wish.
That's right. And she says, I want him to never die and live forever. And then, obviously he's in agony and he's got loads of
It's the
embalming fluid in him, so
embalming.
he's in agony. But then they have the most graphic, she's hacking at him with a sword. And
Yeah,
there's
they
that
cut his
shot.
hand
Oh
off.
my God. Cut his hand off, which is flapping around in the coffin, and then there's like just loads of intestines. A shot of some intestines in his shirt, which is quite graphic, really.
It was very
Um,
graphic. I don't know how they can get away with, if they have to have poster paint for blood and then they can show severed hands flopping around in a
yeah,
coffin.
maybe they just couldn't get the consistency of blood right because a lot of those films do have this color. I mean, I know
Yeah.
in Sleepy Hollow they deliberately did pink blood as a homage to Amicus and Hammer
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I know that the 60s and 70s there was people were quite squeamish about real looking blood, so I know that was a thing. And I think if blood did
Okay.
look real, it tended to be called a video nasty.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
they didn't they weren't using corn syrup for these things. They were using probably poster paint. Um, So that's a good one, and I think the guy who plays Ralph is very good. Plus,
Yeah.
he has a good twist at the end as well in
Yeah.
the
It's
final segment.
kind of feels quite tongue in cheek, this one as well. It's kind
Yeah.
of dark, very black humor.
It's quite meta as well because they're going, we know this is the monkey's paw,
Yeah.
but we're going to do exactly the same thing, by the way, but we're going to try not to do. I think it's good to have a story where they're trying to out fox the curse. It's
Yes.
like, forget it. There's no way you'll be able to outfox this curse. It's going to happen in the same way, and it's going to be awful.
Yes. That's
Um, which brings us to segment 5.
segment 5, Blind Alleys.
Now, this was really good. I thought this was a long one. It was quite relentless,
Wasn't it? Yeah.
and it had Patrick McGee in it, who I learned many facts about him. Well, because I was like, oh, he's in Clockwork Orange.
Oh,
He's the guy they
yes.
brutalize, and then he recognizes Alex when he comes back and singing in the rain in the bath.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And yes, he is the sort of lead inmate at this house for the blind, where this horrible new boss, Major, what's he called? Major Rogers, is
I know his dog's called Shane.
his dog's called Shane, yeah, and his German Shepherd turn up, and he runs the place like an absolute prison.
Yes, Major
Um,
Rogers.
so again, he's going to get everything he deserves. But I was worried because I thought, oh, please don't brutalize the dog. Every time there's a dog in a horror film,
Yeah,
I just
no.
think it's going to be brutalized. But the dog
Campaign
actually gets
of
to,
good treatment to dogs in horror movies, though.
yeah, the dog actually gets some nice grub in this film, so
Well,
he gets
Major
to eat a
Rogers.
lot. Major Rogers eeventually, but just lots of nice bits of ham, and sure he gets locked in a room for a few days, but he does get to eat at the end of it. I thought it was really clever. This felt like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
This
They're
is
all a bit
Mr.
like that, weren't they? Or like a night gallery or something like that.
Yeah, Night Gallery. Yeah. You could just imagine Rod Serling going, "This is Major
Yes.
so and so Rogers,
Yeah.
a stern man." Da, 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 da. And then, yeah, as it goes on, yeah, they just had enough. They might start dying of hypothermia.
Yeah.
He won't turn on the radiators. He won't turn on
Oh,
the
he's
heating.
he's the baddest of all the bad people in this movie,
He's
isn't
awful.
he? He
He
is
just
awful.
doesn't care, and he's sitting there eating steak next to a roaring fire while the hospital, the people are all dying and
Yes.
starving, but they start doing a sort of Shawshank Redemption, Birdman of Alcatraz, and saving their food and coming up with a plan to lure the dog
Yeah.
into the cellar. So again, I was very happy the dog got to eat lots of nice bits of meat. But then they concocted that rather ingenious and ridiculous plan while they've trapped the dog in one room and they've trapped the major in another room to build a sort of labyrinth. They're all blind as well, which is why it's really impressive.
It's like a murderous crystal maze.
Yeah, it is like a murderous crystal maze. Yes, exactly. And we're in the blind zone now, and now we're in the razor blade zone, and now we're in the ravenous dog that's going to eat you zone.
And
But
on
yeah. I mean, he has no choice but to get absolutely slashed to bits by razor blades, and then be eaten by his ravenous dog.
it is
So
pretty gruesome. I mean, they did
yeah,
get pretty gruesome in the 70s, these movies, and I think that's probably why at a certain point during the 70s, both Hammer and Amicus Studios kind of folded because these
yeah,
kind of video nasties and really kind of like the new wave of horror came
yeah.
through, didn't it? And
Well, especially like a couple of years after this, you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, how do you?
yeah,
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre remains an effective horror movie. It's one of the best, I think, and it's
yeah.
so shocking and so scary and
And sort of,
gross.
and although these are kind of moral tales, but once you get to
Yeah.
those sort of movies, then kind of all morality just goes out the window.
And that's scarier, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is
Because
scarier because there's no logic to it.
no, I mean, this is quite Dickensian, isn't it? It's sort of, like Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
Behave this way and you'll regret it. Mend your ways and you might be okay. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre and I mean, Psycho was way ahead of its time. Let's just face it. I mean, that was 1960. But the slasher
yeah,
movies of the 70s and 80s and Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, all these, it's scary because these monsters are just going to come for you.
yeah.
Whatever happens, you're going to have to fight them. You can't just mend your ways. And
And in
mind
these,
you,
there's some always some kind of justice, isn't there, in these? It's sort of like
Yeah.
a British sense of fair
Yeah.
play.
Well, that's it, isn't it? And it's they are tradition. They are playing on that tradition of the morality tale, which is ancient,
Yeah.
folklore and and Grimm's fairy tales and kids, fairy tales always have and nursery rhymes always have a morality tale in them. So yeah, these are kind of traditional. And then yeah, I think but time the 80s, the 70s came in, particularly mid 70s, you just couldn't compete. I don't think they were making money. People weren't going to see them. Kids weren't going to see the latest
Yeah.
Amicus and Hammer movies. They were going to see, oh yeah, Dracula. Oh yeah, Christopher Lee. They were going to see the new shocking,
Yeah.
you have to see this movie, Evil Dead and that kind of stuff.
And
And I would say this arguably those have lasted better because we still talk about them. I can still watch Evil Dead. I can still watch Friday the 13th, and they were kind of before I was old enough to watch them, but they have
yeah.
lasted. Whereas Amicus and Hammer have a lot of fans, but you sort of have to go back and discover them as we have, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah. Although you kind of never see reruns of those Friday the 13th or night, all that stuff you don't really see
Mm.
reruns of on the telly anymore.
That's true, and I think Amicus and Hammer they are more crafted, even though you might, than like say let's say Friday the 13th, 4, 5, 6 are much more commercially obvious why
Yeah.
they made them rather than something that's crafted and have some excellent actors in it. And I mean, you're still getting Peter Cushing in these movies, so that's not to diss Amicus. It's just that there's a reason why they went out of fashion, and maybe they're just too stylish. And I think now they're back in fashion in terms of their historical movies now, and you
Yes.
can study them and you can appreciate them, and you can appreciate how you had to have these before you got any of the other ones later. You
Yes.
know, without this, there's no Creep Show and there's no Stephen King movies and so forth.
No, absolutely. So the wraparound, we're on to the denouement and the
Yes,
justice. Justice.
justice. I went for Louis Armstrong. You went for Martin Sheen there.
Yeah.
Justice. Justice. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's the Day to Day, which is one of the funniest TV series ever made. Yes, the wraparound, which is Ralph Richardson going, well, you're all dead.
Yeah.
You've all done all the things I've just shown you, and you are now in purgatory, and you're all about to go through this doorway. But then I thought there was a really clever twist with Ralph, who can't die.
No, he sort of wants to go first, doesn't he?
Yes, I'll go first because he was a complete git in life and he's a complete git in death as well. But because he can't die, he just falls down to hell. Ralph, serves you right, mate.
There is apparently a bit of a clue that
Mm.
we're actually beyond their deaths in the
Yes,
crypt. That
I
Joan
know. I know what it
Collins
is.
is wearing a brooch that her husband gives her at that Christmas
That's it.
Eve. So she's
Yeah,
already
she's
wearing the
already got
brooch
it.
that's supposed to be
Yes, I
given
didn't.
later.
I didn't spot that till the end.
No,
So, but I knew. I sort of knew that they would. I just knew that they were dead because I thought, well, this is like
yeah,
Doctor Terror's House of Horrors. I
yeah.
thought,
I mean, it's
I bet they're all dead.
but again, that's a sort of a better wraparound because it's
Mm.
less obvious what's happening,
Yeah,
and it is a bit more. Yeah, there's more tension and there's more mystery. I think in Doctor Terrors.
yeah. Mystery. All
Yeah.
my life has been a mystery. And then it's got a rather nice bit at the end, but although it is the same as the House That Dripped Blood, which is the crypt keeper turns to the camera and goes, well, who's next? Perhaps you.
Perhaps. Ooh.
And I was
And
like,
that there,
shit.
wasn't there a bit of that in the what was the other movie that we saw? The other uh, was it Torture Garden had a bit of that at the end, the breaking the
Torture Garden.
fourth wall.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking. I think it might, maybe both, but yes,
I think
Torture
it might be
Garden does.
both. Yeah.
Yeah. House of Drip Blood. Yes, it is because the House of Drip Blood, he turns and says, do you want to rent the
Do you want
place
to live in a
next? And he
house
holds
like
up
this? Yeah, yeah. Do you
Yes.
know what? Are you
Yes.
the sort of
So
person who
it's,
could live in a house like this or something? Yeah.
that's right.
Or am I thinking
And
through
then
the keyhole?
Lloyd Graceman appears. Yeah. Who lives in a house like this? David, it's over to you. Yeah. So lots to talk about with this film. I think it's one of those films that I would say, um, exemplifies Amicus. If
Yeah.
like if someone said, "What is Amicus Films?" I'd say watch
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt because it's on YouTube for free. So I mean, buy it, but you're not going to go buy it if you've never seen it. You're not that interested. But I think if you're curious about Amicus, go and watch Tales from the Crypt on YouTube. It's well good. So that was 10. So we were over halfway through our 18 or 19 Amicus movies that we should. What's next week, Mark?
Well, they start to come thick and fast at this point. We've sort of had a few.
I was going to say we're running out of years, aren't we?
Yeah, we've had a few in 71. There's likely to be 3 in 72. So after this one, we're going to go to What Became of Jack and Jill, and that stars Paul Nicholas of Just Good Friends fame.
Hello, Pen. I will invite our friend Andy Santon on because he really likes this film and he wants to talk about this with us. So we'll get him on for next time as well.
Okay. This becomes a bit more of an exploitation type movie, I think. We're getting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we've got exploitation, various things, and all the way to werewolves. There
all
you
the
go.
way to werewolves. Yes. Yes, we're leading up to the big one.
Yes, I feel like we've probably said this, but we should wear smoking jackets and do The Beast Must Die from an old house in the country somewhere with tea on the lawn.
We should check that out.
Yeah, with just dogs running around and stuff, and just get into the whole thing of the movie. That'd be fun, and it'll probably be summer by the time we do it.
Yeah,
summer next year.
Let's look into that. Cool. Oh well, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely. Pleasure as always. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please leave a comment and listen to the old episodes as well and come back next time.
See you next time.